I never thought I'd be the kind of woman who hides her phone under the pillow at night, but here I was, lying next to my husband, pretending to be asleep, while my heart pounded every time a notification lit up the screen. It wasn't what you think. At least, not at first. I wasn't cheating. I wasn't even planning to. But something inside me was missing. My husband, Daniel, was a good man, hardworking, reliable, and safe. Too safe. Our life had become a routine: wake up, breakfast in silence, work, dinner, maybe a movie, sleep. Day after day. Year after year. Then one evening, while scrolling through an old college alumni group on Facebook, I saw a name I hadn't thought about in years: Ethan. He was my first love, the boy who made me feel alive, the one I used to dream about running away with. My fingers hovered over the keyboard, and before I could stop myself, I sent a simple message: "Hey, it's been a long time. How are you?" When he replied, almost instantly, it felt like someone had lit a match inside my chest. I told myself it was innocent. Just catching up. Just old friends talking. But soon, the messages turned longer, deeper. He remembered things about me that even Daniel never knew. He said he still thought about me. That he wondered what would have happened if we hadn't drifted apart. And I couldn't stop thinking about him either. The first time Daniel caught me smiling at my phone, I lied. I said it was a work email. He didn't question it. Why would he? He trusted me completely. And that trust, it made me feel both powerful and guilty at the same time. But the truth is, I didn't want to stop. Ethan made me feel seen, wanted, alive again. And that's when I realized, I was standing at the edge of a cliff. One more step, and there'd be no turning back. Ethan and I started talking every day. Morning, lunch break, late at night when Daniel was asleep. I told myself it was just harmless nostalgia, but deep down, I knew it was more. He had this way of asking questions no one else ever asked, about my dreams, my fears, the parts of me I'd buried under years of marriage and routine. One night, he sent me an old photo of us from college. We were at a concert, his arm around me, my face lit up with the kind of happiness I hadn't felt in years. I stared at it for a long time, comparing the girl in the photo to the woman I saw in the mirror now. Tired eyes. Forced smiles. Had I really lost her forever? Then Ethan asked if we could meet. My heart nearly stopped when I read those words. I typed and erased a dozen replies. Finally, I just wrote, "I don't know if that's a good idea." But the truth? I wanted to see him. Days went by, and I couldn't get the thought out of my head. Every time Daniel kissed me goodbye before leaving for work, every time he told me about his day in that flat, predictable tone, I thought of Ethan. His laugh, his eyes, the way he used to make me feel like I was the only girl in the world. The temptation grew until it was unbearable. I started making excuses, working late, meeting friends, errands. Daniel never suspected a thing. His trust in me was unshakable. Finally, one rainy Thursday, I told Daniel I had a late meeting and drove to the cafe Ethan had chosen. I remember my hands shaking on the steering wheel, my heart pounding like I was doing something forbidden, because I was. When I walked in and saw him sitting there, looking almost the same as I remembered, just older, wiser, but still him, I felt the ground shift beneath me. He smiled, that same smile that once made me fall in love. And in that moment, I knew, I was in trouble. The first meeting felt like a dream. We talked for hours, catching up on everything we'd missed over the years. Ethan told me about his failed marriage, his struggles, his regrets. And when he looked at me, there was this intensity in his eyes that made me feel like I was the only person in the room. When I finally got home that night, Daniel was asleep on the couch, the TV still playing. I stood there, watching him, feeling the weight of what I had just done. I hadn't kissed Ethan, hadn't crossed that final line, but emotionally? I was already halfway gone. The days that followed blurred together. Ethan and I kept meeting in secret. Coffee shops, walks in the park, even just sitting in his car and talking for hours. Each time, the connection grew stronger. Each time, it became harder to go back to my normal life and pretend everything was fine. One evening, after one of our meetings, Ethan leaned in close. His hand brushed mine, and I froze. My heart was racing, torn between wanting it and knowing what it would mean. He whispered, "I've missed you for too long. Don't tell me you don't feel this too." I didn't answer. I couldn't, but the silence spoke louder than words. At home, Daniel noticed something was different. He asked me if I was okay, if something was bothering me. I smiled, lied, and told him I was just tired. He believed me. Again. But one night, while I was in the shower, my phone buzzed on the counter. Daniel walked by, and for the first time, he picked it up. When I came out, dripping wet and wrapped in a towel, he was sitting on the bed, holding my phone in his hands. His face pale. His eyes dark. And I knew, everything was about to collapse. Daniel didn't yell. He didn't throw the phone or curse at me. He just sat there, staring at the screen, scrolling through the messages I had tried so hard to keep hidden. "Who is he?" His voice was calm, too calm. That scared me more than if he had shouted. I froze, my throat dry, my mind scrambling for excuses, explanations, lies, anything that could undo what he'd already seen. But there was no way back. Ethan's words were right there on the screen, clear and undeniable. "I can't stop thinking about you. When can I see you again?" Tears stung my eyes. "Daniel, please, it's not what you think." He looked at me then, really looked, with a mixture of hurt and disbelief. "Not what I think. You've been sneaking around, meeting him, hiding this from me for months. Tell me, how is it not what I think?" I sat down on the edge of the bed, trembling. "I didn't. I never slept with him. I swear." It was just, I stopped, realizing how weak it sounded. Just what? Emotional betrayal was still betrayal. Daniel shook his head, running his hands over his face. "Why, Anna? Why wasn't I enough?" The silence that followed was unbearable. I wanted to scream, to cry, to take it all back. But the truth was, I didn't know how to answer his question. I loved Daniel, I did, but I couldn't deny what Ethan made me feel. That night, Daniel slept in the guest room. I lay awake, staring at the ceiling, feeling the crushing weight of what I had done. My marriage was hanging by a thread, and it was all my fault. The next morning, when I came downstairs, Daniel was gone. No note, no goodbye, just gone. And in that emptiness, one terrifying thought consumed me: what if he never comes back? The days after Daniel left were the longest of my life. I called, I texted, but he didn't answer. The house felt like a ghost town, silent, cold, filled with memories of a life I might have just destroyed forever. Ethan kept reaching out. "Are you okay? Do you want to see me?" His messages should have comforted me, but instead, they felt heavy, almost suffocating. The thrill was gone, replaced by guilt. I had chased something I thought I wanted, and in the process, I might have lost everything I truly needed. On the third night, the door finally opened. Daniel walked in, his face tired, his eyes red, like he hadn't slept in days. My heart leapt. I wanted to run to him, to beg for forgiveness, but I froze, afraid of what he might say. He didn't look at me at first. He just set down his keys, took a deep breath, and finally spoke. "I don't know if I can forgive you, Anna. You broke something in me I don't know how to fix." Tears streamed down my face. I was stupid. I was selfish. But I swear, you're the one I want. Not him. Please, don't give up on us. For a long time, he just stood there in silence, staring at me like he was trying to see if there was still any truth left in my words. Then he